A new baht depreciation phase has been going on. It has jumped from 36 to 38.29 baht per dollar in less than a month. Today, a committee under the Bank of Thailand decided to raise its key policy rate by another 25 basic points to 1.0%. This is the right move given the current situation while Thailand's economy is recovering. Please welcome our guest today, Dr. Narongchai Akrasanee, former finance minister. อาจารย์สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ Hello.
This is the right program and thanks a lot for joining us.
Correction, not finance minister. Commerce and energy. Commerce and
Sorry.
energy.
I big apologize. Equality from me. The announcement today ครับอาจารย์ by the Monetary Policy Committee to raise the rate by 25 points is something we already expected or not?
Yes, we did, but it was a bit slow. It was a bit slow, considering what the Fed of the U.S. did. It was a bit slow, but again, nobody knew that the Fed would, increase the rates so much and so far. So it was the right move, but it was a bit slow by circumstances.
You've been slow by the decision making. We should have done this before.
Well, slow because of the unexpected move by the Fed. The Fed moved too far and too fast, faster than everybody expected. And our monetary policy committee, they did not have the schedule for their meeting earlier, so they waited until today to make that decision. So this decision was expected, but again, as I said, that if they had known that the Fed would have increased the rate so fast and so far, so quickly, I think they might have done this earlier.
Oh, I see. So, but with this decision was made this slow, we're gonna be more affected overall, given the situation now.
In a way, you see, it caused the baht depreciation to go down too far and too fast. You see, what happened was that we all expected that the Fed would increase the rate this year. Actually, if you go back to earlier period, the first quarter of this year, our policy rate and the Fed policy rate were almost the same. 0.25 to 0.5. But from the first quarter until this end of the third quarter, the Fed increased the rate by 4 times. And at the beginning, the Fed increased by something like 50 basis points. That was expected. But then by the end of the second quarter, the Fed started to increase the rate by something like 75 basis points, 3 times already. The last one was September 21. This was unexpected by anybody in the world, including Thailand. And that being the case, it caused the rate differential, meaning short-term rate, meaning policy rate, between U.S. and Thailand. U.S. being developed country, Thailand underdeveloped, developing country. The rate here should be higher than the U.S. By economic theory. But by the end of September, this period, end of the third quarter, the Fed rate already gone up to 3.25. In our case, it's only 1%. Differential of 2%. So within 2 months, within one quarter, the value of the baht went down quickly from like 35 plus to 30, about 36 to something like 38. This sudden increase by the Fed policy rate caused the fast depreciation of the Thai baht.
And that happened to other foreign currency as well, like the pound sterling?
Yes, or even worse.
Pound sterling. Right.
Worse because the new minister and the new Minister of Finance, they wanted to really pump up the UK economy. So they reduced the rate and they increased the borrowing and everything. So caused the pound sterling go down even faster. And similar happened to the Europe, to the euro. For the first time in history, the euro is now less than $1. It's all because of the Fed.
So we now consider the Bank of Thailand is tightening the monetary policy in the not the right timing.
Well, no, I would not use that word. I think the adjustment by the Bank of Thailand is only in order to make our policy rate more in line with the changes in the U.S. policy rates. The Bank of Thailand is not trying to tighten the economy by increasing interest rate too much. And shows, from what they have been doing, it shows again today, the 25 basis points is evidence that the Bank of Thailand still would like to see the economy grow. And because we still have pretty good liquidity, our basic interest rate, interest rate in general, have not really gone up. That's the most important thing at the moment because our households are heavily in debt. SMEs are also in debt because of the COVID. So the rate applied to them would be very, very serious. But the one that we are talking about is a short-term rate, is an overnight rate. It's the rate used by financial institutions for their overnight exercise of liquidity management. And we still not have liquidity problem in our banking system. Evidence is that our bond yield is still reasonable. 10-year is about 3 point a little bit, which is about the same. Yes. So in effect, the money market is not tightening. It's not. Bank of Thailand is not trying to tighten that money market. Otherwise, it would hurt more users and also households too much. So they increased the rate by 25 basis points in order just in line with the international rate, which is the right thing to do. Only, as I said earlier, only that we did not expect the Fed to go up so fast. So they did not go faster than this.
I see.
Yes.
The Thai baht used
Yes.
to jump to depreciated to like over 40, and back then because the situation may be different from now.
Oh,
And
completely different. Yes.
and then can you tell me more about what happened back then, that how we survived the situation?
Yes. Before doing so, let me just make sure that our exchange rate this year used to be about second quarter about 35 to 36. So this went up unusually too fast. So my expectation is that it would calm down. It would slow down. It would come down. It may come down. Okay. The matter of short-term adjustment. Okay. And one is not the same as what happened in 1997, 1998. That was a crisis. That was completely different. That time, our rate was pegged to the US dollar at 25 baht. And today, we have floating rate. We adjust according to the movement of the US dollar. At that time, it was pegged. Because it was pegged and the interest rate local was higher than interest rate. So there was a lot of borrowing from over because of that interest rate differential. And the creditors were not confident about the Thai economy in end of 96, beginning of 97, they started to pull their money out. They started to pull their money out, and the exchange people, the exchange market was betting on the baht going down. So there was a big hit on the baht. And the Bank of Thailand at that time was trying to defend 25 baht per US dollar for something like half a year. Back on the baht started at the end of 96, but mostly at the beginning of 97. And it went up so much, by May and June of 97. And the Bank of Thailand tried to defend that by selling short term and buying forward to cover what we
Mm-hmm.
call at the time,
Mm-hmm.
until we not do it anymore, we had to devalue the baht,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
meaning peg, not devalue, we unpeg, meaning not guaranteeing 25 baht. And
Mm-hmm.
when you something like that, the rate dropped drastically to 30 to 40. And by the end of the year, 97 to almost 50 at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of 98,
Mm-hmm.
at maximum 52 baht. A
Right.
lot of people went bankrupt because they had debt in US dollar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Difference.
Different situation, and now we can tell that we are in the temporary situation because the situation of the COVID and also the war with the Ukraine and Russia, and
Yes.
it's possible that at the end of the year the Thai baht will change to like 34. Just some
Well,
analysts just think that we can it's
you see,
possible.
it's like this. Nobody really knows. Nobody really knows because all of this depends on
Mm-hmm.
what the Fed is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
The US is so determined to kill inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Inflation by themselves, not caused by anybody else. Yourself and the audience, I like to tell you that the world did not have inflation for more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was not more than 2%. When
Mm-hmm.
I was policy committee, and inflation was never higher than. We never had to adjust the rate to fight inflation. Same as the US. Same as
Right.
the US. But because the US used the monetary policy to save their economy after
Mm-hmm.
the crisis
Mm-hmm.
and use policy to save the economy from COVID,
Mm-hmm.
by pumping in a lot of money into the market.
Mm-hmm.
And the things started to calm down. Inflation started, obviously, with so much
Mm-hmm.
money. So
Mm-hmm.
they try back the money. They try to draw out the money from the market, every
Mm-hmm.
month, pulling back something like 45 billion US dollar. But still, it could not really preempt inflation. And therefore, US is facing with serious inflation. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, they went up with this interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what they do, if inflation in the US is calmed down by the sudden increase that they did last week before, on September 21,
Mm-hmm.
when things come down and if we adjust the rate ourselves a little bit more, something like, 50 basis point for the remaining of the year or from
Mm-hmm.
until the quarter next year, things will all calm down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
But this right,
the
but this
Fed
jump
kept
is too fast, right? Mm-hmm. 36 to
on.
38, and in the old days ครับอาจารย์
Yes.
Thailand like to be the safe haven for like currency, like when the baht was like 30 baht, and now with this change we cannot go back to that situation.
Nobody knows the exchange rate. I tell
Mm-hmm.
you, exchange rate is something that when you allow it to float, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot really which way it will go. Depends so much on the economy. I tell you this: the Japanese yen
Mm-hmm.
today now
Today.
20. The rate to the US dollar is about the same as Japanese yen in
Mm-hmm.
1987.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Oh.
so how could that be? So the baht could be, down to 30. We used to be below 30. We used to
Mm-hmm.
be 10 years ago, we had problem being the baht being too
Right.
strong below 30, being too strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And only beginning of this year it's still less than 35. Now it's 36.
Mm-hmm.
So it may go down to, I mean, the baht value goes up, meaning that the exchange to US dollar could be less than 38, 37, 30, even 35 is possible. But as I
Mm-hmm.
say, nobody
Mm-hmm.
can predict. If anybody can, they will be so rich.
Right.
It's,
Right.
it depends so much on what the US, the Fed is doing.
Mm. Can you predict what the next step? because people think that US doing this, trying to curb the inflation, may be not
Yes.
helping anything much, and the Fed
Well,
may be doing more.
well, my belief is this. My belief is this that the way that they are pulling back money,
Mm,
45 billion a month, that's a lot of money, a lot of
mm,
dollar. Get meaning that they allow bonds, that they
mm,
purchase by quantitative QE to expire by not renew
mm,
the bond, meaning that they pull back the money.
mm,
If they do in month and that pulling back is going to go up to 90, I think in the next few months. So by doing so, there would not be money to be inflated
mm,
or
mm.
cause. So I think
So
they will succeed. I think that the latest maybe first quarter next year.
that we can see the
Yes, long
positive
term
result for the US, and when the US economy getting healthier, so it means that
is good.
the it could be good for everybody.
Is,
How about now with the situation, more tourists will be coming
yes,
to
that
Thailand?
you see what happened is this. I have to explain this to you. Our baht had been strong, had been
Mm-hmm,
up until end of last year,
mm-hmm,
had been strong, for very long time, for more than 10 years,
mm-hmm,
because we have surplus
mm,
in the current account, trade and service for more than 10 years.
mm-hmm,
Evidence is that there's a lot of money that the Bank of Thailand had to sell bond, to suck up liquidity. That's the
mm-hmm,
evidence.
mm-hmm,
Uh, but recently, because of this COVID, because our service sector, our tourism sector has not been performing,
mm-hmm,
we started to have deficit from last year, from towards the end of last year until now. This year we have deficit. So
mm-hmm,
this last quarter, with the tourists coming back, the service sector would have a big surplus, and that would help the trade deficit. The trade
mm-hmm,
deficit mainly due to oil and gas, mainly due
mm,
to. So if we have this help from the tourist sector, maybe the current account deficit for the last quarter may not be negative, and if negative, would not be big. So
oh,
that
I
would
see. Mm, mm-hmm. How about the export? The people from the export.
export is doing fine in terms of statistic. Export is doing fine, but the trade deficit because of the price of oil and gas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Even though now we are seeing, the slowing down of the price of oil coming down a little bit, but the
mm-hmm,
price of gas has not come down,
mm-hmm,
and the price of natural gas will not come down,
mm-hmm,
and that
mm-hmm,
goes to the cost for import and therefore foreign exchange. It would
mm-hmm,
also into cost of production, electricity, and so on, and inflation in Thailand.
mm-hmm.
So we would have some inflation problem for a while.
For a while, maybe until the next quarter.
I believe the last quarter inflation, because you see, government could not control price anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Government had price to go up, so you will see inflation continuing.
Right, but the
And it,
BOT forecast that the inflation for this year like 6.3%,
I agree. Yeah.
and that is making us not to be too concerned. And they predict, they forecast that next year will be like 2.6, and they believe that the price of the oil in global market will be coming down, but some analysts said maybe it's too positive. How
Again,
what do you think?
it's all the guesswork, you see, and
uh
all depends on where you start from. Now, this year, if inflation is high, it means that
mhm,
it the level that we start next year will already be high.
mhm,
If you go from high to high, percentage will be smaller.
mhm,
This year,
mhm,
we came from low to high.
mhm, mhm. You and can I
So it's
ask for right,
positive.
go on, please continue. Can
No,
I ask about the political climate? If the
yeah,
it's part of that, it affect the belief and confidence for investor as well. And Thailand is on the verge of the change for like this Friday. Maybe something gonna happen, and we can tell that the prime minister will stay on or not. And you think that this will also affect the inflation and also this the currency?
It's like this again, learning from 97 lesson, learning
Mm-hmm.
from 97 lesson. Political problems would make economic solution harder. So if we did not have political problem, we would not have so serious an economic problem.
Mm-hmm.
Although we would have economic problem, it might not be as serious. 97 was a good lesson. There was
Mm-hmm.
political in the government, the business could not rely on what government could do that would help them. So the baht was very strong, and that caused this. Now this year, this quarter, the last quarter of 2022 is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important. I am concerned, and I would like to tell you that I am concerned. Whatever decision comes out on this Friday, the people who are not happy. And when the people are not happy, political parties will take advantage of the situation by belittling, by bullying the other side, causing this concern, causing this lack of confidence, among the private business people, which would affect the economy. Of course, it would not destroy, it would not make the economy such a big damage, but it would make solving problem more difficult. And the
And what
people,
right. And what your advice for the business sector now? Just this
I,
is the worst is not coming yet, and we expect the worst to come.
my 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 view about the business sector is that we are now entering into the recovery period.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, it's better than last year. That is certain. The only thing which is negative about our economy is the price of oil and gas, and that's not our doing. It's all between this U.S., the Soviet Union, and Ukraine. Fighting. Oil and gas prices were already coming up, because of this climate change policy. But the Ukraine-Russia caused things to be much worse. So we just have to manage the oil and gas prices as best we could, and the other part of the economy will take care of themselves. That is the most thing that we have to manage. We have to manage energy sector very well, not to cause some damage to our energy sector. So
Okay,
it is
ครับ and that ครับ
people
ครับ
are about this management of the energy sector, things will be okay.
But so far you think that the recovery is quite ongoing well.
The recovery is good, except this management of energy sector is something that I'm not that happy with. I think I mentioned this to you before, that they did not really manage this properly, and this could cause long-term damage. Long-term damage to energy sector.
Right, we have to be aware of that. And that's wrap up for Voice of the Nation today. Dr. Narongchai Akrasanee, former Commerce Minister. And thanks for joining us today. And please join our website nationthailand.com and วิทยาแสงอรุณอาจารย์ขอบคุณมากครับสวัสดีครับ
Thank you ครับสวัสดีครับ
ครับ